Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Split Screen Podcast. I think we're going somewhat regular now. We're going steady 4 in a row. My name is Craig Wilson, or on Twitter at CPWilson, or on Facebook Craig @Command Wilson, or on Steam buddySideshow, or on Xbox Live buddySideshow, or on StarCraft buddySideshow, because there was a character limit and I didn't notice. And sort of started typing, ran out of letters and hit enter. And I'm joined again by
Alan, who is known as Alan.
Just Alan.
Yeah, just Alan, or occasionally Al in work, formerly known as LordAlan, and now I'm known as the exciting AGKuma, which I don't know if people really like that one or not.
AGKuma. What's the thought behind AGKuma?
Well, I hate telling this story.
Yay!
Well,
struck gold, folks.
Okay. The story behind my gamer tag and all of the AG is that AG are obviously my initials, so that's fairly obvious. And Kuma is because whenever I was really young, I had a teddy bear called AG Bear, who's named after me. AG Bear was taken. Kuma is the Japanese word for bear, so that is slightly different to AG Bear.
I think when you said AG Bear was taken, I thought maybe that was a heartbreaking story of someone stealing your bear.
Yeah, AG Bear was stolen, and since then I turned myself into a bear to try and track down the people responsible.
I went to the train station and they gave me another bear, and they told me it was my bear, but it wasn't my bear.
I'm pretty sure there's it's been like that Simpsons episode with Bobo, Mr. Burns' favourite bear. That's what it's reminding me of. But no, AG Bear is still real. He still exists, as do I. But yeah, I mean, I changed it all recently. I just, the gamer tag must have been a couple of months ago now. Just because, I'm not 16 anymore. I don't need to refer to myself as LordAlan. I've got rid of that whole inferiority complex that I had. But I mean, a lot of people have said they kind of knew where they stood with LordAlan. They knew what to take from his appearance. So,
my buddySideshow actually got from SecondLife, the name generator. You can choose different sort of dialects and regions. So that was a Celtic Transformers name. Apparently, was buddySideshow.
buddySideshow.
SecondLife will be featuring later. This episode, we're talking about online identities.
Yes, and an online identity crisis, I think, is the preliminary title we've given for it. We're going to talk about how people present themselves online and how that's changing. Is it for the better? Is it for worse? But there's no real need to reduce it, because if you've got this far in the podcast, you're probably going to listen to it. So without further ado...
So I think quite naturally, as with everything now, you can just tie it to Twitter, and that is the latest place where an online identity is now quite a valuable thing. I think when we were growing up, when we were young, I remember when I first joined the Sum 41 forum, trying to find similar like-minded losers. Try not to spit water out there. I'm just going.
We should point out that we're having a special podcast this week from Craig's living room, and so I'm in real danger of spitting the water not only over my laptop but over his parents' dining room table. So that would be the worst end of the podcast ever.
So I remember when I was signing up to express my love for Derek Whibley, and you were told, like, when you're joining an online forum, never use your real name, never give out personal information like where you live. So you came up with a fake handle. I think I never really had one back then.
Certainly, whenever I went on WWF chat back in the day, you always had to come up with some kind of silly pseudonym. I don't know, Stone Cold 316 or something really imaginative like that. But one of the classic things people did when they set up an email account, certainly my first Hotmail account, was LordAlan, then my year of birth at hotmail.com, which in a way is pretty silly, because whenever you look back at it, you think you just told everybody what age you were. That was pretty silly. But yeah, I mean, it was like, never give out your name, don't give out your age, any personal pictures, don't leave a trail of sweets for paedophiles, that kind of thing.
Whereas nowadays, I think that's quite apart from the trail of sweets, that's quite a valuable commodity to have your name. A lot of people will have their name registered, CraigWilson.com. Like, someone else has already got that. Someone's already got Craig Wilson at Gmail. But for a lot of people, that's part of their online brand, online identity.
Well, there's loads of Alan Williamsons out there. There's one, it's quite funny. He's this guitarist and tutor, and he has the same hair that I used to have, so he kind of looks like a fatter version of me from a few years back. It's like, even if you search with my middle name, George, I'm still nowhere near the rest of those people, so I'm lost.
Sign up as at the real Alan Williamson.
Yeah, that would work, yeah.
I think last week, kind of interesting repercussion of this, there was the GirlGeeks founder, Morna Simpson. GirlGeeks is kind of interesting site where it's community for women in technology, very entrepreneurial, very kind of go-getting. Her Twitter handle is at GirlGeeks, and she's used this quite a lot. And someone else put in a claim for it, because on Twitter you cannot impersonate someone and you cannot infringe on trademarks. Someone else apparently held the trademark for GirlGeeks.
Even though she ran this community.
Yes, even though she had this community. And so hers got changed to Girls Geek, and I think it had an underscore or it had a dash or something else in it. But what it meant for her, and she was quite kind of understandably upset about it, was that all of her promotional material, a lot of her correspondence, all this kind of work that she'd done in building up this online reputation was now kind of squandered because people would go to the @GirlGeeks and it was pointing to someone else entirely.
Okay.
And so, this kind of was an interesting way of saying, like, okay, well, this have a bit of value, like, outside of the people who just sign up to Twitter to follow Stephen Fry.
It's kind of difficult, though, the online paper trail, because I know that I've got quite a lot of walkthroughs and things in game FAQs, and the email address still points to my old Hotmail account, and so every few months I check it out and I get a couple of emails from people, adding things to this walkthrough, and I feel really bad. There's all these housewives and things telling me how they and their kids love playing the game. I always feel bad that I never get back to them, but it's, for any of them that are listening, I'm sorry. But it's interesting as well. You're talking about how somebody's got a trademark in the world, GirlGeeks. Did you hear Microsoft are suing Apple for the trademark of the App Store because Microsoft have said that it's too generic a term because you can say app and then that doesn't mean anything, and you can say store and that doesn't mean anything, therefore App Store can't be a trademark. This is the same Microsoft, by the way, whose two main products are called Windows and Office.
Word,
yeah. Or
ironically, Excel is like the opposite of what happens in that, but never mind.
And PowerPoint, the most boring piece of software ever made.
Yeah. On the side on Twitter, there's a lot. If you use Twitter, you'll know that certain keywords, if you have them in your post, will trigger a torrent of spambots that will come after you. I did one probably a month ago now. I'd mentioned Xbox, as I am wont to do, in a Twitter post, and suddenly I was greeted with this reply from this spambot, which is just someone's written a bit of smart computer program.
You can win an Xbox if you go to this location. Please fill in your bank details.
And I ended up I did this sort of big infographic which is on the site, and I ended up looking through all of their tweets, and what I saw was actually, first of all, it's quite accurate to sort of normal people on Twitter, in that they would, about a third of the time, they were trying to sell you something, and the other 2/3 they were talking about crap that you didn't really care about.
Or trying to waz your computer with a virus or something like that.
But what was interesting on the side of the keywords was that it was picking up what people were saying, and it was trying to use it to sort of nefarious ends. And there was a sort of, I say high profile, I couldn't find it when I was trying to prepare for the podcast, where a number of bank managers, their Twitter profiles were identified and people were following it. And so when this bank manager said, look, I'm taking Fluffy for a walk, Fluffy was then added to a list of potential passwords that this bank manager might use. Similarly, when he went, I'm going to pick up little Ali Williamson from soccer practice.
Dad, don't give out my details.
Ali Williamson was added there. And if you think, when you're filling out sites, you still get those security questions. Apart from what's your mother's maiden name, where's the place you grew up, where's your first school, what's your childhood nickname, what are your pet names?
What's your childhood hero, I think was the other one.
These are all barriers they're trying to put in so you don't have your stuff stolen. I mean, these are all just the basic ingredients of any profile for any site, not even just Facebook, just any site wants to know about this.
Was there not the other one? I think it was, maybe the website was called something like Rob Me Now or something like that. Yeah. And it was either using Twitter or Foursquare, and it was somebody would say, I'm way out for a run. And then it'd be something like that. Mm-hmm. Just nip to the shops. I'm in Tesco. Lol. Sup, guys? Just checking out the fresh fruit juices. Something really bland like that, like you get on Twitter. And these people, their homes are now ripe for the picking.
Yeah, they linked up to a map where they could figure out. Chances are most people tweet from the home. Most accidents happen in the home. Twitter happens mostly in the home, so they could figure out where is their likely place of abode, and then whenever there's a tweet outside of that, flashed up on a map. To try, I say raise awareness. I don't know what happened out of it. I raised an awareness and then it dropped off.
Yeah, then everybody's computers got stolen, and there was no one left to talk about it, I guess.
So we said that it was the trademark infringements on Twitter, and I think a lot of the best comedy Twitter names, a lot of the best comedy Twitter accounts are ones where people are impersonating them. And there was that famous the mayor. I mean, I can't remember his name.
RamEmanuel, who stood for Mayor of Chicago. Oh no, he is the mayor-elect of Chicago.
Okay, and his actual account was set up as an editor of this old punk magazine, and that was his way of instigating social change. And what he
sticking it to the man.
And the character was just this lecherous, misogynist, like everything, all the worst nightmares you would have of some sort of US politician incarnate. In Britain, we've got Cat Bin Lady, based off that woman who put the cat in the bin and got caught on the security thing. Well, it's someone writing the sort of life for her, and it's strange. I think that the sort of 140 character limit actually it focuses a lot of jokes, so it's actually quite good for that.
Well, that's all Twitter is for me. It is a way to hawk our wares and promote the website. I'm not ashamed to admit that. That's pretty much the main reason I use it. It's just to occasionally say a witty thing and mostly advertise things. So that's really the only use is advertisement and a wee bit of comedy there.
Yeah. Well, when I was at Google, they referred to it just as a publishing platform and not a social networking tool.
Publishing platform?
I think, yeah, more legitimately on the social network side is Facebook, but they're now an advertising platform. Whereas before, I think you had a little bit more leniency on what was on your profile. I think we all know about the privacy thing and, make sure your thing's not public. Yeah. We're not going to go into that.
That's fairly obvious.
But you're not allowed to put in fake locations anymore. Like, if you try to edit your Facebook page right now and put in, like, I am from
Mars.
Or Uranus.
Hey!
It won't let you do that unless it has a place in its register of allowed locations. Oh, okay. Which is that. Because I was trying to change my Facebook identity to that of Aquaman. And so I couldn't get, like, Atlantis. But I could get Atlantis from, like, some state in America had, like, Atlantis somewhere.
I just read today that some Spanish researchers reckon they have found Atlantis.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was it?
Somewhere off the coast of Spain, I think.
That's convenient.
So maybe you'll be allowed to put that on Facebook now. Oh yeah, well, I'm from Cadiz, but it's close enough to Atlantis that I'm a man of the world.
They locked down on the joke names as well. There's a limit to how many times you can change your name now on Facebook, and quite interestingly, they don't tell you the number. They flash you up with a page saying, look, there's a limited number of this, so don't go screwing around. And all of that's in the vein because Facebook is an advertising platform. That's how they make their money.
It's kind of discriminates against Hollywood actresses who tend to remarry about 5 or 6 times. I mean, it's just to keep your trade name, and then you won't get caught out by Facebook's change limits.
Like if you think about it, like what Facebook are selling to their advertisers, like, okay, well look, you've got what they'll be trying to say is, okay, well look, we've got the demographics of everyone, so we know the age group, we know the sex, we know the location, and now you can target your products to these people. And you won't be wasting your time advertising to some 60-year-old granny who just wants to put cats in bins. If you want to get to the guy who's interested in some 41, you can get right to him.
You don't want to waste his time.
No, but like I know, just based on our we have mutual friends, of course.
We have multiple friends and mutual friends.
Like to say double-digit friends, just to anyone there. Like how many girls do you know who are married to their best friend on Facebook?
My girlfriend is married to her best friend on Facebook.
Okay, well there you go.
So there you go. But yeah, no, people do it all the time, or it's complicated with, I don't know, your dog or a horse or something like that. But I mean, I think the joke name thing does make sense because it stops potential abuse. So imagine if I changed my name to your name, just to wind you up and just to be mean to you. And I mean, maybe we were talking before we did this. As we do.
As we want.
Yeah, we say all funny things first to get them out of our system, and then we do our straight podcast. But we're talking about the nicknames that profiles have, and everybody does have this sort of profile username. And I think mine is just AG Bear. But it's not actually salient. You can't see it. You can type in that username into Facebook and get to my page, but it's not advertised whenever I go to your page. It doesn't flag up that's what your username is. So maybe they should make that a bit more salient.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what all the what we said at the beginning, not to have the personal stuff and the username now.
Well, it's the opposite of something like Xbox Live or the Blizzard RealID that we're going to talk about later, where in Facebook you have your real name and that's prominent, and then you have your username, whereas in everything else you've got this prominent username and potentially a very select number of your friends can see your real name, as if they needed reminding, as if I didn't know what your real name was, but I knew what your Steam name was. Thank God for Steam.
Of course, I think I changed my name. I put an extra letter into my surname for a long time, and that was a good way of like stopping businesses from just finding me online. It just happens. Your businesses will check your Facebook, they'll check your Twitter, and if they find out you're on people, and they just won't hire you at all.
But that's it. You changed your name, and that is not allowed under the terms of service.
It's a breach, actually.
There was a Chinese blogger who goes by the pen name of Michael Anti, and he was banned from Facebook because they discovered he was using a pen name instead of a pseudonym. And what he said that was, he felt lower than Mark Zuckerberg's dog, who is allowed a profile on Facebook. Although apparently that's okay because it's a fan page and not a real user page.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's how they got around that. Yeah,
So
you can be a fan of Mark Zuckerberg's dog, but so this guy his account's been closed down, and obviously if you're a blogger in China, it's a bit different to you and I setting up a website, and they're gonna get locked up in a gulag somewhere for posting stuff like that under their real name. So that again, it's just interesting that Facebook is all about breaking down anonymity, and one website that's sort of taken this on board is TechCrunch, and they used to use the discuss comment system, which all of our listeners will be intimately familiar with.
We use it on our site, folks.
That's because it's easy. So TechCrunch have replaced Discuss with Facebook comments, and the reason they've done this is because most of the comments were bilge, or were just useless commenting and trolling, and generally, nasty people posting nasty things, which nobody really wants. And I guess it made me think about, would we necessarily want to put Facebook comments in place of Discuss on split screen? And I kind of thought, probably not. Because we do want a lot of comments, but it's all about the quality of discussion versus the quantity. And let's be honest, right now we're not terribly big. We're looking for quantity. We want to lower the barrier to entry. And besides, we can just laugh at all the crap comments and delete them whenever we like. So I think it's getting a bit more positive. I've started writing better stuff, and that certainly helped.
And we mentioned earlier another site which did this probably on a grander scale, were Blizzard, the developers of World of Warcraft. So they've got, I think it's about 12 million now, kind of active user base. We've written about wow, it is 12 million. I know that. Yeah, we asked the question: can 12 million subscribers be wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
That was the consensus. We've decreed it's okay to not like World of Warcraft.
And a while ago on their forums, probably about last year now, they wanted to do, in a similar way to TechCrunch, they wanted to raise the level of discussion, or really, get rid of the sort of the low trolling stuff. And
which is quite ironic, because World of Warcraft is a game where you can play as a troll.
Yeah. But because it's World of Warcraft, it's paid for subscription, they've got everyone's credit card details, so they know everyone's real name. Yeah. So they just wanted people to use their real name. They called it the RealID initiative or whatever.
Scheme.
And so they wanted everyone on the forums and everyone in the game. Well, not in the game, sorry, you still had your character name. But everyone on the forums, you would have your real name. So it would be CraigWilson rather than Mortala, which was the character's name I had.
It's like if I wanted to post in the World of Warcraft forums, I couldn't be Hochin, I could only be Alan.
Yeah.
And I think this initiative lasted for about all of 2 days. They basically said, we're going to roll it out. And then the internet exploded. And about 2 days later, they're like, you know what? This is actually the worst idea we've ever had.
In truth, I think it was actually a shame that it didn't happen, because I'm not sure if we agree. I think it probably would have worked, because there was a very famous strip by Penny Arcade, which was along the lines of the internet plus anonymity equals very unpleasant person.
I believe it was known as the Gabriel Greater Internet Very Unpleasant Person theory.
Yes, I think it was slightly more harshly. It was more
perhaps there were some cuss words in there.
Yes,
yeah. But I mean, I don't know.
Had people been under their real name, a lot of the things that you sort of see online probably wouldn't be there in the first place.
Well, that's what you find with TechCrunch, is that the number of harassing comments is gone. It's not even like it's dropped a wee bit. It is dramatically reduced, and obviously the number of comments are dramatically reduced, but also like the level of discussion is really elevated. But I mean, it kind of raises problems with World of Warcraft, where whenever people are playing that game, I think the issue isn't that they're making people use their real names. The issue is that they gave them about 5 or 6 years of using a pseudonym, and now they're forcing you to use your real name to continue as part of the community. Facebook never started off with usernames, and then they said, right, now you have to use your real name. Away you go. And it's nice to have a bit of escapism, and it's nice that people know that they can go and play something, and no matter how bad your life is, or if you do have a past and you don't necessarily want people to know where you are, that you can play that game and you can enjoy it for what it is, and you shouldn't have to give out your details. But for them to suddenly change the rules is a bit much,
Yeah, they still have it in place, but it's a completely optional program you can go into, and I think they do offer like some incentives. I think there's a little bit more in the terms of cross-chat support.
But I don't need a reminder of what your name is in real life. I would just send you a text message and say, "Hey, what's your Blizzard ID?" Had momentary memory loss,
But like so many of these programs that they're trying to do, they are again just trying to tap into this Facebook thing again, and the RealIDs had it. You can connect all of your Facebook friends in there.
Well, notice that Insomniac, the guys that did like Ratchet and Clank and things, and Resistance and those kind of games, they are now putting a lot of their games up on Facebook. Now, I don't know what that means, since I'd really like to see Resistance running inside a web browser. That would be funny. But they're doing something online, and Sid Meier's the other guy, the developer of Civilization, Alpha Centauri, and that's only 2 games you need, really. He's making Civilization for Facebook, and even things like Zynga, those guys that did Farmville and that kind of thing. It's or PopCap's Bejeweled Blitz. The Facebook gaming market's massive.
It's completely legit. It's I think when we threatened something about hardcore and casual games, I mean,
don't even get me started.
But that's what we mean by casual, is that you don't need to buy a computer, a separate console for it. You've already got everything you need. If you're wanting, this is just like a little interesting site that folk can go check out. If you want a good idea of like the anonymity. Anonymity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you could say anonymity, but that wouldn't sound right at all.
Well, if you want to see, say it again.
Anonymity
in action on the web. If you go to YouTube, sunshine.com, and it just pulls out random quotes from YouTube. I've got it on the side. I can't read that one out. We try not to swear on this podcast.
The comments are so the comments on YouTube are so foul that you just can't read them. We wouldn't be able to.
I can't read that. That one's about. That's also quite.
You can't even tell me what it's about. It's so severe.
That one mentions God in Japan. I can't mention that.
I'm trying to read.
That's probably enough. That one's.
I'm trying to read your screen, like in the mirror reflection here, but I can't see anything. It's very fuzzy, but it looks like there's a lot of capital letters in there.
Similarly, I guess if you want to see what happens when you just turn on people's screen, don't go to chatroulette.com. You know what you'll see.
Yeah,
but that's just another place. So, whereas that almost came out as a recommendation.
Go to chatroulette.com. You know what you'll see.
It is, bathroom wall plus ballpoint pen equals surprise, surprise. Okay,
well, I guess the question is it acceptable that being a dick on a forum bans you from playing a game that you've bought? So what happened was this guy said something about it was with the BioWare game Dragon Age 2, which I've been reliably informed is pretty good. Cool. So there you go. That's our almost recommendation to buy it whenever the price goes down, because I'm sure you're poor like me. So this guy made some comment on the BioWare forums about how EA they'd sold their souls to the EA devils or something like that. Generally, whenever you're on EA.com, that's a pretty silly thing to say, and he got a temporary ban from the forums. But what happened was, as a repercussion, he was banned from the game. Mm-hmm. That he had purchased, and these are supposed to be 2 different things. So I could go make a BioWare account, and even if I didn't own Dragon Age, I could say whatever I liked about it.
Yeah.
But he was actually banned from the game. Now, we were going to do a kind of tabloid journalism style approach to this and just say, yeah, this guy got banned and it was totally outrageous, but then we actually read about it and found out that it was a mistake.
Yeah, the line that EA have taken is that he was only meant to be banned from their social side of BioWare. And there was some glitch in the system that meant he was locked out of everything. And so that's been happening. He's banned from the side for 72 hours as well. It's only a temporary thing.
Too bad. He deserved a ban.
To me...
Think about what you've done.
If we go back to the WoW scenario, if he had a particularly vile... And I think you need to have like a history of it. I think people can sort of... You can vent and rant once in a way. And
something like EA is the devil... Possibly not worth a multiplayer ban. Something like, guess what I'm going to do to your mum? That sort of vein of things. That would be probably grounds for a ban. But
had that happened on the WoW forums, on Blizzard forums, and then he was banned from the game, I wouldn't say that as too unrealistic a thing to happen.
No, I think that's fair enough. I mean, maybe it would be a positive way to encourage healthy discussion online. Would be if there were some repercussions. So if you were on the Xbox Live forums being really abusive, you could get banned from Xbox Live for a day. Now, not banned from the Xbox. Only your parents can do that. But you'd actually be locked out of Xbox Live multiplayer, or locked out of voice chat or something like that. Because or sending messages in voice chat because you were mean on the internet. That might be a really good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, that was the side. I tried to look into it. I think anyone who's used Xbox Live will know. A very wise man once said that an Xbox Live headset is the worst thing to put next to your head, next to a shotgun. And that's quite accurate, because you will hear quite a lot of filth, and it depends what games you're playing as well.
It's basically just Black Ops and Halo Reach, isn't it? That's where the scum dwell.
Yeah, in the profile you can report violations if people have put up crude sprays, or if people have put up crude language. Or
crude sprays was a bad choice of word.
If you're dealing with immature people, online,
when would that happen?
You can report these violations, but I've reported many a person, because I am a narc.
I've
I'm not really sure if there is any repercussion to it. I mean, how many strikes do you need before anything happens?
I think it takes multiple strikes from multiple people because, well, the last thing you want...
I'm sure people will be like, oh, he chainsawed me in Gears. Quick, go into the profile.
Yeah,
bad game behaviour. He killed me.
He killed me. He killed me. He killed me, and he couldn't have killed me because I'm awesome. I don't know what way the banning process works in there, but I can only assume that it does work. Otherwise, it's a dark world that we live in.
By and large, though, I mean, it's been a long time since I've ran into anyone really offensive like online.
I don't know. You do get some cretins online. It makes you think. If those are the people that have survived, who on earth did they ban?
And in a way, I admire creativity in Call of Duty Black Ops. You can make a little player card, which basically you can buy layers, and you can get shapes and little sprays, little skull icons, and you can arrange and make your own little pretty picture. And unfortunately...
Well, I don't actually own Call of Duty Black Ops, but I have seen enough in my Google image travels today. I would describe it as a comprehensive selection of bestiality, male and female genitals as far as the eye can see. There's drug abuse, just general, man's inhumanity to man, and I guess it's kind of an extension of the graffiti you could spray in Counter-Strike, but a lot of those were quite funny just because it was such an obscure feature, and so seeing you Cartman or a penis on the wall was quite funny. And it's... You can kind of compare it with something like Forza 3, which is comprehensive car respraying and remodeling, but it's pretty much smut-free. I mean, you get a couple of scantily clad women, but mostly it just seems to be advertisements for Monster energy drinks and things. I mean, in terms of the way we've created characters online, my Xbox avatar and me are fairly similar to myself. It's different in that I think mine might not be wearing a t-shirt, whereas real life Alan only wears t-shirts and jeans because that's the only clothes that I have. But that and my me are somewhat like me, unless I don't think yours is quite as close unless you have a secret moustache and a bald head. I haven't noticed.
Yeah, I tend to try and make the same character in most games. So most recently it's like Fallout, and my Xbox avatar and my skate character are all a sort of middle-aged, bald version of what I see myself becoming, like with a horrible... Because it's really strange, and like whenever you make a character in game, there's always an option for a comb-over. Now
the hair's terrible.
If I had a comb-over in real life, or maybe like going for the full head of hair, that would be kind of fun on my guy who can skate, rather than the sort of accurate style. Fallout had like this particularly limited character generation where everyone essentially looked like a melted mannequin from the same factory fire, and that they had maybe a dozen different hairstyles, but 50 different types of beards. Now, the most comprehensive avatar creator you can get is in SecondLife, and you can adjust like literally the gap between your eyebrows, and the
gap
distance
between your eyebrows.
Yes. I think I've got the sort of one eyebrow. I imagine other people, you've got a nice gap between them, but you can adjust that bridge.
That's because I pluck the hairs whenever it starts to turn into a monobrow.
God, we're vague as hell. Not vague, sorry, vain.
Vague as hell. There's nothing vague about the distinction between my eyebrows. It's crystal clear.
And you can adjust different toe lengths as well. I mean, you can go into crazy detail.
I think to me, well, I've never used it to be honest, but I think Second Life would just be an extension of the traditional chat room.
Yeah,
and that's the problem with PlayStation Home, is that it's an extension of that chat room, but you're limited to people who we've already established are not very good at communication.
And it's just like there's like this really interesting story came out about 2-3 years ago now, of a couple who had met online in Second Life, and they fell in love, and they got married, and then they had a wedding ceremony in Second Life. A bit sad there. And that's the sort of where it started, where you're seeing going, where the wife then suspected that her husband was having an affair. What the wife did is that she went out and hired a private investigator in Second Life, who then followed the husband's avatar in Second Life, and he found out that he was having an affair with someone else, and that their avatars were meeting up in Second Life and having like a virtual affair as well as there being like a real affair.
So there was a real affair.
Yeah, there was a real affair.
I was going to make a joke where I said he should have gone out and had real sex with somebody. His wife never would have suspected it, but if that was already happening, that kind of fell flat on his face.
It's a strange like meta adultery. I don't know, but yeah. I don't know why I told that story.
That's okay. That's okay. It was a very nice story. Yeah, I mean, our World of Warcraft characters were totally different to our Xbox avatars, since mine was a 10-foot tall bull with a nose ring, and yours was a...
sexy undead corpse. That was Mortella. That was her character.
Sexy undead corpse.
Well, though it was strange. I mean, I think it's sort of a potential feature there, but the sort of female representation in video games is not particularly a broad one.
No, you can either have massive breasts or you can have just plain old large breasts.
Yeah,
and those can either be pretty much popping out or almost covered up. Well, actually, I made a female character in Phantasy Star Online once.
Really?
During my addiction phase, yes. And she was this really tiny mage character, and she didn't have gigantic breasts because you couldn't do that in Phantasy Star. And yeah, she was very popular. I used to get like loads of random friend requests from people going, "Hey, I'll help you through this dungeon and things." These really chivalrous gents going,
"Stand aside, little lady. I'll take out this troll for you.
I'll save you, madam," that kind of thing. And I was like, "Yeah, you've no idea how much I've played this. This is a total cakewalk to me." And it was great because they would give you loads of free stuff. They'd be like, "Oh, do you want all this money?" I'd be like, "Yeah, well, I've actually got so much money in my other character that I can't get anymore, but sure, give me all your riches." So it is interesting the way males and females are portrayed differently, and I would suspect that quite a large proportion of female avatars on online games are actually being played by men. In Phantasy Star, you sort of get like a sword dude, gun dude, and magic dude.
It's every game ever made, man.
Yeah, sword dude, gun dude, and magic dude.
From Golden Axe, right?
Right, yeah.
Right up to now. To Gears 3.
Gears 3, yeah. Well, who's the magic dude in Gears 3? Cole. Nobody's got a sword in Gears. The analogy fails. So, but you couldn't be a female hunter. Like, you couldn't be a female sword dude. You could be a different type of female, but they had like slightly better magic stats relative to the humans. And so it actually, they were distinct personalities. And that was quite cool. Then over time, they broadened it out a bit. Have you seen the website where they now name and shame people who are abusive to women on Xbox Live and PS
Really?
Network? Yeah. Well, what they do is these guys send these horrible messages in, "Yeah, you're a chick, bleep, 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 on your bleep," kind of thing. And so what they do is they just post these guys' Xbox Live messages onto this website. And I will try and find out what it is so we can link all the listeners to it. But yeah, they're kind of like fighting back against these really horrible misogynist pricks online. So I guess
that's quite good. Yeah, I guess if the communities will police themselves always in some way. So if it has to come to a name and shame for some of the worst offenders, then
so be it.
There's also something like quite appealing and sort of voyeuristic and tabloidy about that I quite enjoy.
Yeah,
it's kind of tabloidy, voyeuristic type of person now.
It's kind of go getting, but it's good because it means that even though people they like to think they're anonymous and that their messages are private, that if you post something that's particularly disgusting, then it will be repeated. There's always a danger of abusing that. So if you send somebody anyone I've ever sent a personal email or Facebook message to has always been sent with the hope that no one's going to forward it on.
Yeah.
And so it's the same as a letter. Somebody could photocopy a letter you'd sent them and have a laugh at that. But it's good that it kind of takes some of the anonymity out of it, and maybe there's a good reason to have real names in Xbox Live to stop people from sending harassing messages, because it's easy for you and I to go on, play a bit of Halo or Call of Duty and then go to bed, but there probably are people out there, whether female or otherwise, who are just getting an absolute torrent of abuse for doing nothing other than existing, and they are paying for that service at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think just to sort of get the part of be safe again, as always. Imagine you're saying it to someone in real life before you type it.
Yes,
but also be aware that because the PCC passed that is now within publishers' right that anything you say on Twitter can be quoted in a news article. So
or held against you in court.
Well, but then I guess to an extent.
The guy that said he was going to blow up the airport, he was prosecuted for that.
That's true.
And anybody who has visited the GeoHots website and the PS3 hacking, Sony have access to their details. Anybody's left a comment, watched his YouTube videos. So yeah, the take-home message from this week's podcast is disconnect yourself from the internet immediately, burn all of your electronic possessions, and just read newspapers and live in a cave. You might also want to consider filing down your fingerprints so no one can see it. I'll see you very soon. Thanks very much for listening.